What's up, everybody? We're back. Hutch Time Sports. I'm Trey.
I'm Tyson.
Court
is back. All right. Well, it was an exciting week of sports, I guess. Very not the outcome you would think kind of week. We have a bunch to get into tonight, and we're gonna start this one off with a sport that we don't normally talk about. We're gonna talk about some golf today. Today's Thursday, the 26th, so that meant the first day of the President's Cup. For any of you guys that don't know, the President Cup is one of the only golf events in a year where it's a team event. It's the USA versus International. There's a Ryder Cup as well, which is USA versus Europe. So those are every 2 years. So President Cup 1 year, and then the next year, the following year, is the Ryder Cup. So today the USA kicked it off with a sweep, 5-0 against the International squad, which is really big. They should be able to take that cup, home to the U.S. after that start. But there were some interesting highlights for sure. Court mentioned that he saw it. Court, tell what Scotty and Tom Kim got into today.
Yeah, I don't know which hole it was on, but it looked like Tom Kim made a putt that probably would have won the international squad the hole, and kind of like chirped at Scotty, and then Scotty, ice in his veins, drained his putt and snapped right back at Tom, and so they just had that little exchange. But yeah, it was pretty sweet.
I heard it was all in good fun because they're actually pretty good friends outside of the game. But it was pretty cool to see Scotty like that. He's not normally like a fiery guy like that. But I watched the interview after, and he said that team golf brings out a different side of him, which is cool because I think golf's one of those only sports that you basically are never a part of a team. So you're kind of just doing it with you and your caddy, and those are the only two that you get to celebrate with. But it was cool to watch him, celebrate for Team USA. And I mean, the putt that he drained, that Scotty tie, was probably a 30-footer downhill. It was not an easy putt. So it was cool to see. I think his exact words were like, "What'd you say?" Or he said, I don't even remember. It was something like, "What'd you say?" That's going in or something. It was sweet to see. Well, let's talk about the year Scotty Scheffler had. Ty, tell me about Scotty Scheffler's year.
I mean, one of the best in tour history, honestly. I mean, his caddy's making more than major golf players alone because of how much Scotty Scheffler has won this year. I mean, he's just been locked in, and it seems like he's the favorite every time he goes out there and plays in a tournament, and he usually will pull it out.
Yeah, for sure. One of those things that I saw was, how it works is a caddy makes 10% of whatever the golfer makes. So, if the golfer makes $30 million, the caddy gets $3 million. I think at the end of the day, the caddy took home like $6 or $7 million, which was higher than Jordan Spieth, than Ricky Fowler, than a lot of like really big name golfers. Scotty, obviously outperformed all of them, which is just, insane. I saw something that a lot of the golfers were saying, if Scotty's on, I mean, why are we even here? That's kind of how it was this year for him. He had a very just impactful year on the course. He got arrested, which is funny, but just a crazy year for him, and it was cool to see. Corey, what were your thoughts on Scotty?
It's really interesting. I think his biggest win is probably the gold medal at the Olympics. That Sunday performance he had was crazy. But yeah, winning the Masters again. He's got a few other tournaments under his belt. He's doing just fine financially. But yeah, it's been impressive to watch him. And leading into that, it's kind of overshadowing the year Xander Schauffele's had as well. I mean, he's won 2 majors this year, which is impressive because he hasn't had one previously. So to win 2 in a year is awesome for him.
For sure. Xander Schauffele single-handedly won the event today in the President's Cup. He was paired with Finau, and Finau played pretty well, but they were 1 hole up and on the 18. So basically, whoever shoots the best out of the 2 guys, you take that score, and whoever wins the most holes either wins the match and gets a point for the team. If they tie, they get half a point. So they were up 1 hole. So basically, if we tied that hole, we would win the match. And the international squad put the ball like within, I think one guy was in 3 feet, and Finau went into the water, so it was all up to Schauffele, and Schauffele put it within 18 inches. I mean, from like 175 yards out, and just tapped it in. They said he was the best par 3 scorer this year. He's scored the best on all par 3s throughout the entire year, and the best putter. He only missed 1 putt within 4 feet this year.
Impressive.
That's insane. If you know golf, if you follow golf, that is just crazy hard. And obviously when you can putt like that, they say putter, wins the dough. So Schauffele had a great year for sure, and he is getting overshadowed by Scheffler in a way. I think if Schauffele does that any year in the past, other than Tiger Woods era, I think he's the guy that you're talking about. He's the golfer of the year. But you got to give it to Scotty just because how good he is. And my favorite part about Scotty is just his attitude about how he goes about things. He's like a very like God first man. Like that's all he talks about. And even I remember the Olympics that Court mentioned. They asked every golfer, and the PGA posted this on Instagram, on Twitter. They asked every golfer what their goal was at the Olympics, and every single golfer said win the gold medal. Scotty was the only one with a different answer, and he just said, I just want to have fun. And I think that's why he's good, is because he knows that he has a purpose in this world, whether he's good at golf or not, and he is very good at golf. But those are kind of our thoughts on the golf. Fun to talk about it, and with the NBA being out right now, there's just another sport that we can mention. Hopefully USA can close it out. It's looking good, and this is probably the last golf event for the year until next year. So, anyways, let's get into some MLB. Like we've talked about the past couple weeks, baseball's very exciting right now and stressful if you're a Diamondbacks fan. We'll get into that. But here's some thoughts. Did you guys see what happened in the A's game today? A's had their last game at the Coliseum. They ended up winning that. Ty, what are your thoughts on the A's moving to Vegas?
I mean, I can understand it from both perspectives. The fans are mad but I mean, that stadium obviously needed a heck of repairs, and then their attendance wasn't the greatest thing ever. So I don't hate to move to Vegas because I think it just sparks more entertainment for the ball club, and so I can see it from both sides. But I'm not against it nor to oppose it.
Yeah, they've had some down years these last few years. I mean, the last time they were good was 2020 when they made the playoffs in the shortened season, but I'm not much of one to pick on the owners, but it sounds like the A's owner is just a real piece of work and has kind of let that franchise down. It was funny though that the last pitch at the Coliseum clocked in at 104, so Mason Miller out there just throwing Chet like he usually does. So good on them for winning the last game at home. I know a lot of A's fans are pretty bummed. Who knows, maybe that year in the future they'll get an expansion team or they work out a stadium deal or something, but for now it looks like Vegas is just going to steal another sport.
For sure. I think from a perspective of the MLB, I do think Vegas is a way better spot. Just geographically, the fans, the Vegas fans have really accepted and cheered on the Raiders, and then the Golden Knights are like the thing in town. It's super cool to watch, them do that. I think they will be that way for the A's as well. I think it will be an exciting place to go play. I think there's going to be fan talks and all that. I think the paparazzi will be there too in Sin City. But it is sucky because, the A's are just a long, an old program. Oakland is just not a great spot, I don't believe, for a team. I don't think anybody necessarily wants to live there at the moment, just with how things are going. And it's it is sad for sure. I don't know if you guys saw, but in the ninth inning there was like fans. I think two guys ran on the field like streakers, and they threw a bunch of like green flare gun stuff, flare powder stuff. So the fans were letting the owner have it one last chance. It was cool that they won the last game. And this was an eventful series for them. Jacob Wilson walked it off 2 nights ago, so sad to see him go, I guess, from Oakland, but I do think it will be pretty good, and you'll never know. Maybe they will get an expansion team, like Court said. All right, here's a question that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it has to do with next year. Court, where do you think Juan Soto will end up?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he's thrived in that Yankees lineup quite a bit, having star power with Judge. So it would be a shame to see him stay in New York, just because I'm not a Yankees fan and I don't really want to see them win another ring. But he's probably going to go wherever the money takes him. It's going to be a big, big contract. And it's well-deserved, don't get me wrong. Soto's one of the best players in the league for sure, but I think the money, I don't know who's going to be able to offer to him. If it's the Dodgers, then we're in for a world of hurt.
Ty, do you have any teams that you think that he could potentially
Yeah, no, I haven't heard much about it, so I don't have much of an opinion on this one. Obviously it's going to be a massive contract, which I can see the Yankees just pulling out of their butt since they're in New York. And, any of the big high-market teams are going to offer him big money, and he's just going to have to decide where the most money probably will be, because that's what the MLB is.
For sure. I saw the biggest threat to the Yankees was the Mets, which would be interesting, if he just hops right over the Mets. Wouldn't even have to move houses. I don't know. It would be very bad if the Dodgers went and got him for our sake. Something crazy about Juan Soto that I just can't wrap my mind around is the dude is 25 years old. I mean, he's been in the league for like, it feels like at least 6 years. He's just been a stud for so long. All-star. Probably the most polished hitter in the league. I mean, I think he's led the league in walks since he's been in the league. I mean, he just is on base, hits for power, just an absolute stud, and he's 25. So whoever gets him, it's going to be for a long time, and big money, big money. But we'll see where it ends up, and let's get into some wild card races because these things are just heating up more and more. Let's start with the AL. Right now, the Orioles are 3 games ahead of the Royals and Tigers, and those are the 3 spots. It's awesome to see the Royals and Tigers, in my opinion, in that spot. It's been a long time since those teams have been there. Let's talk about the Tigers first. Cor, what do you think's made the Tigers turn it around so fast when they've been bad for a while here?
It's got to be their pitching staff. I mean, when you got Tariq Skubal on the mound at any given point, it's tough being the opposing team facing someone that is that dominant. So definitely their pitching. They've got some young players that are coming up and some people that I honestly have never heard of that are just showing out. I'm a big fan of Riley Green. I think he's pretty solid, good in the outfield, decent hitter. They've got power and they need it. So, but definitely their pitching. Their pitching has been, as good as it should.
For sure, Tariq Skubal could win a Cy Young here. Shout out to him. He's an Arizona boy from Kingman. We've already mentioned that in a previous episode, but yeah, he's from up north. He's a stud, man. He's really good. They almost dealt him apparently because they were not going to make play. I mean, at the deadline, they almost dealt him for a huge package to the Yankees, which would have been crazy. But I mean, the Tiger just caught fire here after the All-Star break, and it's really cool to see. It brings back those memories of Miguel Cabrera, Max Scherzer, and those days in like 2012. But it's cool to see them be good again. Ty, let's get into the Royals. What do you think makes the Royals good?
I mean, they've just been a solid team all year. Their pitchers are pretty decent. They got Lugo, and then I'm trying to remember the one other name, but they've been the 1-2 all year, and they've just performed, very well. And then their lineup, Bobby Witt at the top of the lineup is like a cheat code. The dude gets on half the time. And then they have some good power hitters like Perez, and Pasquantino has had a great year. And yeah, they just have a really good, solid lineup that they all know their roles, and they've just been winning ball games throughout the whole year based off of pitching. Some days pitching's down and the hitting's up, and some days the hitting's down and the pitching will step up. So it's just, they've just been really good all year.
Yeah, Cor, what do you think about Bobby Witt as a player?
He's 5-tool. He's got it all. He hits well. He hits for power. Hits for average. He's got a good glove. He can run the bases. It just seems like he's the full package. Honestly, I haven't really seen a player his caliber since like young Mike Trout. I know that's a big comparison because Mike Trout is one of the best players to ever play the game, but he's showing glimpses of that, and I think he's got good future and an opportunity to win an MVP here in the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think realistically, if it wasn't for Judge this year, I think it'd be his this year. Judge is just so good. It's whole nother story. But yeah, Bobby Witt is insane. He's super young as well. He's one of these guys like Soto that has you can't even say bright future because it feels like he hit it already. But he's gonna be good for a really, really long time. And Kauffman Stadium, I don't know what people say about it, but I loved it. I recently got to go last year. The wife and I went on our way out to the Midwest for baseball, and holy cow, I loved it there. The fountains were cool, and so it's a cool atmosphere. I like the Royals' colors. I like what they got going on over there. I think they're going to be fun to watch for a long time because who wouldn't want to go play with Bobby Witt? So let's talk about the last team of the AL who's got the 3-game lead on these two. So they already clinched their spot. And they're probably going to make a run in the playoffs here. It's the Orioles. Let's hear Tyson's thoughts on the Orioles.
Great team. They're super young still, and they all hit for power, and they score runs. We got Gunnar, which is a bright future in baseball. He's been great all year. And then you got Santander. He has like a 220 average, but he hits like 40 bombs and has like 130 RBIs. And then you just got, Jackson Holloway's finally starting to figure it out. And the pitching's just been really good. They have that one closer. What's his? I don't remember his.
Is it Bautista?
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Cano.
Yeah, Cano. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, the pitching's been great all year, and with that lineup, they're always going to be a contender. And I think they're a really solid team to make a run in the playoffs.
For sure. Cor, who's your standout player on the Orioles? If you could grab one, put him right on the D-backs.
It'd for sure be Gunnar Henderson. I think switch hitting for power. decent shortstop glove. I love Geraldo Perdomo, don't get me wrong, but getting a little power in the lineup would never hurt. I'd definitely take Henderson or Corbin Burns. I mean, when you can get another ace on any pitching staff, it's nice to have.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Orioles are super fun to watch. They're another one of these teams. I mean, they were really good last year too, but they're just like the Tigers and Royals in the sense that like they got their guys up that they've drafted. They didn't really go out and spend other than Corbin Burns, but I mean like they just came up and they ball. They play well. I mean, they got all Baltimore around them. If you ever watch a game, everybody's there, just cheering them on. It's super cool to see. And I mean, they'd probably be the leader of any other division other than the AL East that they're in, and probably the NL West. They'd be the top dogs. So they got a good squad out there. The coach does the right things. Everyone likes to play for him, from what I can tell. And yeah, we'll have to see. I think they could really make a run in the postseason. So let's get into the NL, which is it's lighting our hair on fire over here. We're getting some gray hairs, I think, already. But we'll first talk about the Padres. They're in the first spot. I think they're now 2.5, 3 games ahead of the second spot, which the Mets hold at the moment. But let's talk about the Padres. What have you seen, Court, from the Padres that have helped them propel into that spot?
Yeah, I think they've been probably the hottest team, maybe besides the Tigers or the Diamondbacks since the All-Star break. It's definitely their hitting. I mean, for a good 2-3 weeks, they were doing everything without Tatis. But they're just filling the right pieces. Arise does not get out. It seems like he doesn't strike out, but he's always putting the ball in play. I think Machado is still top 5 third baseman in the league. Plus you got Jackson Merrill, who converted shortstop to center field, who's runaway Rookie of the Year candidate in the NL for me. So their offense is lethal. They've got a solid pitching staff when healthy. Their bullpen's solid too. So it's just all around good baseball from the Padres.
For sure, Ty. Is there any standout players in your mind that have helped propel them?
I mean, having Arraez at the top of the lineup, you see, and Jerks and Profar, those two have been a great 1-2. I mean, I think Arraez got to be around like 320, and Jerkson's probably right around that 300 mark, and those two have just been getting on for the guys like Cronenworth and Machado that'll hit for a power. And then I always tell people that I'd rather play the Dodgers than I'd rather play the Padres in the playoffs, because I think that lineup scares me more than the Dodgers. I know that's weird to say, but I mean, those first, I could honestly go with 7 guys. Those guys are all hitting above 260, and they're all great hitters. So yeah, they're a really great team, and I'm a little scared of them in the playoffs, I'm not going to lie.
For sure. I think one of the things that people don't know if they don't watch West Coast baseball or don't know to be scared of in the playoffs is Petco Park and their fans there. I mean, every time you watch it, they are in it. They are rocking. It seems like it's a very tough place to go in there and win a game. I mean, especially late innings. Everyone's on their feet, it seems like. It's loud. I've been, even when they weren't good and it was loud and crazy. I think the fans are helping out there too in that way, in that regard. And like Tyson said, they might even be more scary. Not obviously, I think team-wise than the Dodgers, but how they're rolling right now. I think momentum's a big thing, and they got it all right now. We saw it last year with the D-backs. I think that was probably, we didn't have the most talented team, but we got hot at the right time. And it seems like the Padres are right in that state of they're just catching fire, and doesn't seem like they're stopping. Like the other day to beat the Dodgers, they literally turned a triple play, like an actual triple play to turn. Like it was like, it doesn't happen, but that's just how they're playing. They're playing loose. They're playing with like with their heads on fire, just running around, and I think that's what's led them to be obviously the number 1 spot in the wild card. Now the second team is almost, we can just say ditto about this second team right now. It's the Mets. We watched them a couple weeks here in when they were here in Arizona, and they haven't stopped either. They just keep winning, and they don't even have Lindor at the moment. Acuna stepped up, like Tyson said last week. He's hitting the ball well, and they just got the right pieces, it seems like, and they got the momentum on their side. Court, what has led the Mets to get ahead of the D-backs?
Same thing like I mentioned last week. It's got to be their pitching staff, and again, Sean Manaea has just been an absolute steal for them. If you would have told me in April that Sean Manaea was going to be one of the better pitchers in the NL, in the league, I would have told you you're crazy, just based on his performance in the last few years, just because he's had some down years. But yeah, it's their pitching. I mean, last week they were scoring 10 runs a game. It seemed like they've cooled off a little bit, but still they have timely hitting. They do the right things. They play good defense, and then when pitching is on, it's tough.
For sure. Ty, is there anybody that you think has helped get them there, or that we need to be scared of in the postseason?
Well, I think it's kind of flying under the radar. I know he's hurt right now, but Lindor has, almost. You could argue an MVP season from the guy. He's just been great all year, and he's really helped that lineup. Be who they have been this last year, and they've just been hitting the ball really well, and the pitching's been there. So yeah, they're a good team, and they're just like Trey said, they're rolling right now. So you always got to be afraid of low momentum from a team.
For sure, and we'll talk about the D-backs next, but how the Mets and Braves schedule now is happening with the rain out. They're going to play each other next Monday, which could be huge because they're going to have a doubleheader, and it's going to be they could either both clinch there, both lose and not get in. It just depends on what the D-backs do against this weekend against the Padres, which is a whole series that we'll preview. But it's scary for sure. With these teams, it seems like everybody's heating up at the right time, and the D-backs are kind of on the colder end. We'll talk about it right now, I guess. The D-backs have fallen out of the first place spot just slowly, and now we are barely hanging on to it by a thread in the third spot. We did win yesterday, so I think we're a game and a half now above, or maybe just a game above the Braves at the moment. Court, what has led to the Diamondbacks? I don't want to say downfall, but what has led to their little bit of a cold streak? It just doesn't feel the same.
It's the pitching. Since the third, I think I saw the stat, since the third inning against the Brewers on Sunday, their pitching has given up like 27 earned runs or something crazy, and that's over like a 3-game span. Pitching has been atrocious. If it's not AJ Puck, good luck. Like we're giving up, it seems like 5 runs an inning, and our offense completely disappeared after that third inning, after we put up 8 against the Brewers. Up until last night, finally they turned it back on, but pitching hasn't been great. It just seemed like nobody was playing with any fire underneath them on Monday and Tuesday when they lost to the Giants. Especially that Brewers game really is going to hurt, especially if they don't make it into the playoffs. Being up 8-0 and then losing 10-9, you just can't have that.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you won the series, you won 3 out of 4 in Milwaukee, you should be happy, but kind of like what Court's saying, I think that kind of kicked it off for this week. It feels like we should be beating this Giants team. Just with who's thrown for us, who's thrown for them. Even last night was a little, until Pavin hit his bomb, it was a little tight there. When that pitcher was brand new in the league and hadn't been very great, and we kept it right there. It's just been one of those things that it just doesn't feel like it has in a while. And like Court said, I think a lot of it is the pitching. I can't tell you how many times, and Court and I text during the games, and it's like, I don't know how many times we can't get a timely hit, or we just make dumb decisions on the bases, or like there was that one yesterday, if anyone was watching, that Eugenio Suarez literally bases loaded, 1 out. Corbin, yes, he hits the ball really hard, and the right fielder makes a really good play on the warning track, but Suarez has nothing better to do than just to stand on third and tag. But he started running home, then had to run back to third and barely made it home. It just seems like there's just weird things like that you would have never seen it last year when we were on our run, and not even this year so far when we were getting hot. It's just been a little off. We got to figure it out here soon. We don't have a choice. We've got the Padres coming in tomorrow night for 3 games, which is the biggest 3 games of our season, and of probably the last, other than the World Series and the run last year, the last 10 years is probably the biggest series. We got to get out there and support if you're in town. I think the Court texted me the other day. It's pretty sad to see that the fans aren't showing up right now, it seems like. And they need all the support they can get. Ty, what are your thoughts? What's going to help we talked about the downside. What's going to help the D-backs, push through this and get in?
Their hitting's always going to be good. I think we've averaged the most runs in the MLB this year. I think we'll start to figure that out. It's just going to come down to the pitching. Gallen had a good start last night, and if we just get a few more of those starters able to go 5 with giving up like 2 runs and then get to the bullpen and try to figure that out, then I think we can get on a little run again, like build momentum like we did and go into the wild card hopefully well and beat them. And then, you saw what happened last year, so hopefully that can repeat itself.
For sure. I think one of the biggest things that's going to go a little unnoticed, I think, is tomorrow night. If we can win tomorrow night, we kind of, put our foot down in the series. We're at home. We're not losing this series. I know it's Merrill Kelly going. He hasn't been great since he's returned from injury, but he was a dog last year in the playoffs. Other than Fott, I think he was the guy we needed on the mound every time. He was the guy I had the most faith in. So he's always been a knack for that. He went to JUCO. He likes that JUCO. He says he's that JUCO dog, and he likes the pressure and back against the wall. And he's gonna have to bring it tomorrow night. Are there any insight, Court, that you want to talk about just about the game tomorrow night? What needs to happen?
Yeah, so right now Padres and Dodgers are in the bottom of the eighth. Dodgers are up 5-2. So if they win this game, they clinch the NL West, which we would hope that the Padres would then rest some of their starters, some of those bigger arms in the bullpen, and so that this series would kind of be like a cakewalk for the Diamondbacks. I don't think it will be, just because the Padres are so well-rounded. But yeah, I think our pitching, I like Merrill starting on the mound for the first game. That's going to be big. I think the biggest thing is we are going to need a turnaround from Zach Gallen quick. I think he has to be the Sunday starter, even if it's a make or break. Well, if it is a make or break game, like it's a must win, Zach Gallen's got to be the one getting the ball. I know that's kind of sets us up for a poor start into the playoffs, but it's better to give everything you got game 162, make the playoffs, than give 70% and not make it. So I think pitching and our hitting are gonna have to turn it up a little bit, but if current scores holds, hopefully the Padres take a series off.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I know the Padres don't even have a decided starter, and I think that's all just going to depend on the final of this game. So I think it'll really, I hope they don't care as much about this series against the D-backs, and yeah, I just hoping that the D-backs can come around and win 2 out of 3, and I think we got it if we can just win 2 of those games. But those games on Monday from the Braves and Mets are going to be a little nerve-wracking if we make it interesting. We're going to have to be big Mets fans, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, kind of like what we were saying, if we do win 2 out of 3, I think we're in, and we don't have to worry about the Monday. But if we get 1 out of 3 or whatever, I think the Braves and Mets can split and both get in, which is not a great case, because I can totally, I'm not going to say they're throwing games, but, they might take it off once the Mets win game 1 and they know the Braves just can win the second one. So hopefully we just take measure into our own hands. I hate having to rely on other teams to do whatever. So, yeah, I think this is a huge weekend. Starts off tomorrow. Get watching if you can get out there and support them, or let's do it, because we wait 160 games this season. We've watched 160 of these things, and these next 3 are the most important of them. So that's all we have about baseball. Let's talk about some college football. It's been a very interesting college football year. I think football in general, NFL and NCAA. But we'll talk about the college game first. We're going to get into the ASU game last week at Texas Tech, and it was a tough one to watch as an ASU fan. Lucky enough, Court and I were golfing at the moment, so we couldn't be too mad. We were pretty mad, but golf's a good way to get it out, I guess. But some of my initial thoughts was just the discipline was not there, and that's what Kenny Dillingham talked about after. There was just so many occasions that we got him off the field, and then we had a sportsmanlike conduct, or there was a face mask on 3rd and 26, like it was just a draw up the middle, and there was 7 guys to make the tackle, but the first guy, face masked the guy. That's what stood out to me, which kind of sucks, because I kind of thought we were moving past that. It's kind of what it's been the last 3-4 years. And from what Kenny Dillingham said post-game, they are going to fix it. They are going to work on it. But, Court, what were some of your thoughts in the game?
Yeah, I got to agree. The discipline, I think we shot ourselves in the foot a few times, especially on that taunting penalty on Rouser. After getting a stop on 3rd down, he kind of stood over the receiver and got flagged, and they got 15 yards for the unsportsmanlike conduct. I wasn't all that impressed with Sam Levitt. I think this was a game where he had an opportunity to prove himself, and he's still super young. I mean, he has 4 starts in college football, so I think we need to give him some room to continue to improve. It seemed like really the only highlight or the highlighted player was Scadaboo again. He didn't have all that great of a game, but he's just so physical, and it seems like whenever you need a play to be made, and even though the defense knows it's coming, he'll get it done. So I've been really, really impressed with Scadaboo. I'm worried that he's going to take a hit, or just so many hits he's going to want to just sit on the bench just because he's probably so tired. Luckily, we've got some running backs coming back from injury, like Raleek Brown, who I'm really, really high on. I think he's going to be really solid for us. But yeah, like you were saying, Kenny has got to get the guys in check. No more dumb penalties. You just can't have that. Honestly, Texas Tech played a really good first half. I mean, shoot, they scored on their opening drive, and then Levitt had the pick, and then they had great field position, scored again. But really, after that, they didn't do much. Besides, Tosh Brooks, running us over, Texas Tech didn't really move the ball that well. So I really think ASU had a good opportunity, and they had plenty of times to capitalize and score. It was just the discipline and penalties that cost them the game, and just overthrown balls. It seemed
Yeah.
like.
That's what I was going to mention too. Sam Levitt, I actually like him. I think he's a competitor. Like we said, he's a freshman. So, I mean, what can you expect? He's going to, I think in 3 years, he'll be a great quarterback. I think you just got to mature a little bit more. But from what I've seen and noticed, he is a dog. He wants to be out there. He wants to compete. But the deep ball, and I mean, any pass over 15 yards, it feels like is kind of like a hope and prayer. A lot of them are overthrown slightly. He didn't get any help from whoever number 7 is on our team too. He just kept dropping the ball when we needed. Dropped the touchdown, dropped the first down. So it was just little things like Court said, just shooting ourselves in the foot. I think the reason it hurt so bad is because it was a winnable game. It felt like we could have done. I mean, like Court said, people had a ton of just worries and talked bad about our defense. Like our defense is going to suck all year. Before the year, even the last couple weeks, our defense, and I feel like our defense played pretty well. I mean, if you can keep a team, they scored 30 points, but like you said, the first 2 were right down the field, and we gave it to them on their own position or on their own field. So I think the defense did settle in and played well, and I think that's what it's going to have to take. Like I said, realistically, as an ASU fan this year, I'm happy with the bowl game. So we're still on that trajectory. Our schedule's going to get tough here. We have a bye week this week. But I do think that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Ty, you have any thoughts on the issue?
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. It was just a slow start from ASU. I mean, we let them come score off of us not being disciplined, and then we overthrow a ball, and it's like that. It's 14-0, and then like Court said, it kind of died off the rest of the game. But I think it was we talked about how we just needed to set the tone, and I think we just went in there really slow, and we let them get off to that lead, and unfortunately I had to watch the whole thing from on the couch, not golfing with them, from the first snap till the last. So it hurt a little bit, but because it was definitely winnable. But I mean, hopefully this bye week will be good for us. Hopefully they're busting their ball, busting right now, and that's all I got.
Okay, let's just quick about these 2 teams. Let's talk about BYU. We're not huge BYU fans out here. Court and I do have a buddy on the team, so that makes it hurt a little less. Gosh, man, they look good. I mean, I can't lie. I think I mentioned it last week that some people were texting me and fans were saying that BYU is real tough to play 8:30 at their home stadium, and golly, they proved it. I mean, Kansas State looked like they didn't want to be there, and it was just a butt kicking, to be honest with you. BYU looked good on both sides of the ball. I'm gonna be frank. I mean, I turned it off at halftime because it was over. I mean, that's just kind of how it felt. I don't know if you guys watched. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, shout out Enoch. Enoch, if you're listening, that's our guy.
We're gonna get him on.
Guest star. No, I mean, Kansas State really controlled the first quarter and pretty much the second quarter until the turnover, the fumble, scoop, and score. And that was kind of the turning point for BYU. I mean, their defense played really solid that first half. I think both defenses played really, really solid. Just happened to be that they had 2, crazy plays. That punt return, kid throwing up after he scores a touchdown, scoop and score. But no, overall, I was really, really impressed with BYU's atmosphere. It was a team game. It just seemed like all the right pieces were going. And in the second half, Kansas State just looked deflated.
Yeah.
So.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch most of this. I checked my phone. I saw it 6-0 Kansas State, and I was like, oh, sick, good start. And then I checked it like 20 minutes later, and I was like, yikes, I don't know what happened. So, I mean, I just have respect for those guys. I mean, they went down. The atmosphere didn't change. I mean, they were down 6-0, but those fans were still on their feet, and they were able to bounce back off a few turnovers. And ever since when you got to halftime, the game was already over because all the momentum that BYU had. So, yeah, I didn't get to watch most of it, but I did see that BYU got a big win, and it was a big win for them over Kansas State because Kansas State has played great weeks. I mean, they blew out U of A the week before, and so yeah, it was a good win by them.
Yeah, I mean, that punt return might be play of the year so far. That was crazy. I mean, missed it, rolled all the way back to his end zone, picked it up, went all the way around for a touchdown. That's crazy. Had to be electric if you were him running, everyone going crazy for him, just gas. But also, just real quick, Chase Roberts, receiver there. I mean, he's gonna be a pro. He's gonna be a pro guy. He looks really good. He's a big physical guy. Looks hard to defend. So they come to town like the week before Thanksgiving against Arizona State. So it'll be fun to get out there and watch them. Let's talk about the other team in Utah, and that's the Utes, man. They went into Oklahoma State Stillwater, and Court and I took Oklahoma State in our pick'em last week. If you want to watch it, Tyson did take Utah, and they got in there with a win. I mean, we originally thought Cam Rising was going to play when we were watching that.
He did get one snap.
He did get one snap. But Isaac Wilson, I mean, they win with him. And that's all you can ask for as a quarterback. Shout out Toa for getting in there and playing.
Yes, sir. Sorry we disrespected your Utes, man. Never gonna get him again.
Never. I got you, Toa.
Never again. The right guard cramped up, so Toa got in there, and it was fun to watch. But awesome. Yeah, I mean, the Utes, I root for them just because we got a little family connection and all there. But I do like Kyle Whittingham. What he's built there is insane. I mean, that move into the Pac-12 was so big for Utah because they were a decent squad before then. I mean, the Alex Smith days and all that. But holy cow, the Pac-12, at the end of the Pac-12, at the end of that, they were running that thing, and they still are. I mean, what Kyle Whittingham has built there, I mean, just the talent that he gets there. They're studs out there, and they don't take a game off, and it shows. Is there any thoughts you guys have on just why Utah is so dominant?
It's Whittingham. I mean, when you have a coach that's been there for it's closer to 20 years now, he's built a culture, he has a set of standards, and when you're a player and you get recruited that, you know what's expected of you. And so it's just been impressive, this seems like 6-year window that they've had, that they've just been solid for the last 6 years. I've been really impressed with them. And again, they have an electric environment. When they're at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake, that place is bumping too. So that's one thing that I can give props to Utah and BYU is that their fans show out regardless. Doesn't matter if they're down here, up here, they're going to be there cheering on their squad. And I think that helps the players play better too.
I have a question for you, Court. Do you think that is because they don't have any professional football or baseball team?
I think it's got to contribute a little bit just because they don't have anything necessarily else to look forward to or to go and to attend. I mean, they do have the Utah Hockey Club now.
And the Jazz.
We're still Coyotes fans. They got the Jazz. But football-wise, I mean, football's big throughout the states, and there's a lot of solid football players in the state of Utah, and so I think they live and breathe college football. I mean, it's either red or blue, so.
For sure. No, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I lived there for 2-3 years, and it is really cool to watch and see how dedicated they are. I mean, ASU and U of A, there is some of that, but it feels different up there. Everybody's got a flag or something on their car or showing you which people they're rooting for, and it's electric now that they're going to be in the same conference because that's just going to be fun for everyone that cheers those two teams on and for that whole future. Ty, is there any other comments?
Yeah, honestly, in that Oklahoma State-Utah game, I think both teams didn't. They were kind of sluggish off the get-go, and I think this year the Utah offense has always been good, and they're going to be good with Cam Rising, but their defense is, one of the best in the nation. They don't have a weakness. Like, an offensive coordinator is not going to look at their defense and be like, oh, it's attacked out that specific group. The D-line's not that good. The linebacker's not that good. No, they don't got nothing there. They have a solid defense that's always going to give them the ball and get the offense back onto the field. So that's what I'm always impressed with Utah, because the offense is always going to be good. But, yeah, the defense has been what's going to, I think, get them into the playoffs this year.
For sure. I mean, I was realistic on the way it's going, and with every conference getting their champion into the playoff, I think Utah's a great chance to win the Big 12, and we'll see where that ends up. Let's talk about the one big game this week. There are some big ones. There are some lower ranked, like 22 against 24, those type of games, but there is a huge one this weekend, and it's good old Roll Tide Alabama and those Bulldogs on Georgia. It's going to be a bloodbath. That's what these games are. These big SEC games are huge. When I read these two teams, immediately the Pat McAfee thing comes to my mind. Go Dogs!
Go Dogs! Give me the Tide!
Give me the Tide, baby! That's just so funny. But SEC football, we've talked about it, but it's just something different. And these two teams are literally the poster faces and childs of the SEC and of all college football. I mean, if we're talking just national championships, these two teams have won more than most colleges combined. So it's going to be a bloodbath game. Personally, I think Georgia rolls in there and wins. I just think they're so dominant. I mean, Carson Beck's looked really good, and I would love, for whatever reason, I think I like Alabama more than Georgia. I have no opinion. I have nothing, but for whatever reason, something in my heart tells me to like Alabama more. Don't know why. But so I'd love to see Jalen Milroe and get in there and win the game. But it's going to be a fun game to watch, and just It's the closest to the NFL that you can get in college, in my opinion. Tyson, what are your picks, or what do you want to say about the game?
Yeah, I saw this. I don't know who tweeted it, but I think it was Jalen Milroe. I mean, I may be wrong, but I saw it. If it was like, if your brother or cousin has a wedding this weekend, I'm sorry, because everybody's gonna be sitting their butts on the couch and watching this game, and I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, this is probably the best matchup that there's gonna be all year. And for predictions wise, I mean, Georgia had a rough week last week against Kentucky, I think it was. I mean, the offense didn't look the greatest, but I do think when it comes down to it, the Georgia defense is really good. I think this game will be real close. Like, I'm really excited for this one, but I do think the Bulldogs barely win that and squeak that one out at Bama. So yeah, it'll be a good game, fun to watch always.
It's going to be game of the year thus far, for sure. I'm sure there will be a crazy game playoff time, maybe a crazy, like, late championship game. But I like Bama. I like Bama a lot, especially because they're at home. I think I saw this on Twitter not too long ago. They have a receiver, Ryan Williams, who's like 17, 18, like freshman, and Bama hasn't been a dog at home since before he was born, or something crazy like that. Which, I mean, is just an insane tenure for a college football program. But I like Bama in this just because they do have the home advantage. Like Tyson was saying, Georgia the last time, or when they did play Kentucky, did not look all that great. And I think Jalen Milroe is the truth. I'm high on him. I think Jalen Milroe is top 3 college quarterback in my opinion. He's got a cannon for an arm. He can run. I think Bama's gonna pull off a win. I think it's gonna be a really, really good game.
No, for sure. It's a toss-up between these two, and it's gonna be fun for sure. One last college football question that I want to hear from your guys' opinions, and then I'll give mine at the end. But you guys saw what happened to UNLV quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Basically just quit on his team, quit on this season. He was, are they 3-0, 4-0? 3-0. He's a starting quarterback. What are your thoughts on that, Court? We'll hear from you first. What are your thoughts on him just calling it?
I didn't really read much into what had happened. From what I saw, it sounded like UNLV program didn't follow through with some of the promises that were made, whether that was financial or some other things. This is why I'm not a fan of NIL kind of controlling college sports. Like, if this was the situation 6-7 years ago, 1, the player would be suspended because he's getting paid. 2, the program probably would have to, forfeit a bowl game for the next few years. But it's just kind of a bummer that college sports is kind of turning into a money party, and it's all about where am I going to get paid the most, not where can I play, where can I show my name to get myself into the next level. I mean, I could side with both programs, whether if UNLV didn't keep their word or if they did, and the quarterback's kind of just upset with his playing situation. I know he's the starter, but maybe something else is going on, so I could see both sides to it. So I don't really have an opinion. I wish I had a little bit more facts on it, but it is what it is. Kind of a bummer for them losing their starter.
For sure. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I saw the running back did it with him too. I saw that he stepped off and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be redshirted and I'm gonna transfer." Because of the same thing. I mean, it's university, blame it on the players, and the players blame it on the university. I'm just with Court on this one. I think the NIL is kind of stupid. I mean, I can understand paying them a little bit, but like this, just how it's going to start controlling college sports, just I feel like takes the love a little bit out of the game. And yeah, I don't got much on it either because I don't have many facts. But I mean, I can understand both sides. And if they made a promise, didn't pay, and if they did pay, and he just left because he said demanded more because they're 3-0 and he's playing good, it's just. Is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you guys took words out of my mouth. I think NIL, in a way, is somewhat ruining college sports in the sense that I am 100% for athletes getting paid if someone goes and buys their jersey, or if they're in a video game and people want to play them, yes, pay them. And even if they want to give them, I don't know, a couple $1,000s a game or something to help pay for school, most of them are on scholarship, but help pay for whatever, food, which they get fed too. So would help pay for something. But I do not think a college kid needs to be making more than $100,000 a year. I just think it takes a little bit out of it. And I think one of the coolest things about college sports is you're a bunch of kids from different places in the world, different backgrounds, and literally you're just coming together to try to win the championship, which is just so cool. And you didn't have to worry about money. And that's what professional sports is. It's a business. And college football wasn't a business until 2 or 3 years ago. It was just for passion and love of the game and trying to win a championship. So it is a pretty sad deal, I think. I know if it was my teammate or whatever, I'd be pretty unhappy. I saw that some agent came in and said that he can get more money somewhere else next year, and obviously redshirt this year so he can have an extra year at the end if he goes to a bigger school. I did see today too that Barstool president, I'm blanking on his name right now, Dave Portnoy. Yes, Dave Portnoy. He said today that he would literally put up $3 million of his own money to get a good quarterback
for Michigan,
a year. So I think that's just so dumb. I mean, it's literally just paying for decent players and good, So it really sucks for those schools. Like, I just feel like the more we go into this, it's going to be really hard to see teams like have a Cinderella story because you can't compete against these guys because all of a sudden a professional, whoever has the most money is getting the best players, which it didn't used to be like that. So it is a sad deal, I think. Like I said, I'm not totally against NIL. I just think it needs to have some sort of limit or restriction on it. So those are our thoughts on the NCAA. I know we're kind of running long already, but we have a lot to talk about, I guess. So let's get into the NFL, which has kind of been the meat of our podcast, just how it's going right now. With the NFL starting, there's a lot of hype around it with fantasy and all that fun stuff. So I don't want to go game by game for the Week 3 recap, but let's just talk about certain things that happened. It was the underdog party this weekend. Every single underdog, I think, won the game. Just some that come to my mind were the Rams against the Niners, the Panthers against the Raiders, Commanders against the Bengals,
Broncos against Buccaneers,
and the Giants beat the...
I just blanked too. Oh, the Browns.
The Browns. Yeah, and the Buccaneers lost to the other Broncos.
Yeah.
But underdog party. There's just craziness going on. I mean, so it was hard to pick. Last week we gave our pick'ems, and I thought it would be pretty good, to be honest. I thought
probably were under 500.
We were probably under 500 for sure. And it's one of those things that I guess when you're in the NFL, you're a good football player, and I think that's just how it comes down to. No matter what team you're on, you've played the game for a long time, and you're good at what you do. And so we're going to start something new. We kind of did this maybe in episode 2 of our podcast, but we're going to name a Clutch Player of the Week. And I'll start here, which is just basically our standout player of the week. And I'm going to give it to Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket. I mean, golly. The dude hasn't played a game of football, I don't know in how long, and a meaningful game, I don't know how long either. And took helm of those Panthers and went into Las Vegas and beat them. He looked good, too. I mean, offense was rolling. I mean, the first 2 drives were touchdowns. I don't remember after that, but I just remember, especially after the first couple drives, it was like, okay, Andy looks like he's never skipped a beat. He just looked on with his receiver, which is crazy because, Bryce Young's been taking the 1 rep. So, looked like the guys trusted him to get out there. I think that's what happens when these veteran quarterbacks, are still in the league. They know how to play the game as much as their bodies are old. We saw it with Brady. We saw it with Peyton Manning. I would say more than half of quarterbacking is just the mental side of the game of knowing what's going to happen and just being poised. And Andy Dalton looked really good. Court, who was your clutch player of the week?
Mine, I'm going to give it to Derrick Henry. That Cowboys-Ravens game was a solid game. I mean, Dak threw for almost 400 yards, so Cowboys' offense was clicking through the air, but the Ravens really weren't. I mean, Lamar threw for about 180 yards and a touchdown, but if it wasn't for Derrick Henry putting up 150 and 2 tuds, the Ravens are 0-3, and who would have thought that at the beginning of the year? But luckily, he went vintage Derrick Henry, just like we've seen him do for so long, and just put the squad on his back and really carried that offense. So, give it to Derrick Henry.
Yep.
Mine was Jaden Daniels. I posted a funny TikTok going into Monday night on our account. It said I needed 30 points for him to win fantasy, and the dude stepped up. I don't know how many yards he threw for, but me and Cora were sitting at the D-backs game, and I needed 1 more touchdown from him, and he chucked that thing in the air, and we were just watching it on our little phone in the bleachers at the D-backs game while we were losing, of course. And I watched him catch it, and I just went nuts. But yeah, he just... Nobody thought he was going to win that game, and he went in there and really proved himself, and I think why he is definitely one of the best quarterbacks from this draft, and he just performed very well, and he's got a bright future, I think, as long as he can stay healthy, because he's a little skinny.
Yeah, for sure. They say he's 210. There ain't no way.
No liars.
Number 2, I was on my way to work this morning, listening to a little bit of Colin Cowherd's show, and he said that Jaden Daniels is C.J. Stroud part 2. I mean, of this year, and I mean, to what it looks like right now, it does look like that. He's looked really good. Just there were so many, and even Kirk Herbstreit said it before the draft that Jayden Daniels was going to be the steal. He's like, people are gonna like Drake May, people are gonna like Caleb Williams, but he said Jayden Daniels is gonna be the steal of this draft, and he's looked every little bit a part of it. And he ain't scared of nothing. I mean, he is a skinny dude out there, but you should see him run the ball. He ain't scared. He's running and trying to hit people, and I mean, almost too much. Where if I was the Commanders owner, I'd be like, hey, let's calm that down a little bit. But I just keep winning games, I guess. So cool to see, ASU kid. Cool to root for, and yeah, we'll have to see what he keeps doing. All right, obviously, that was the Kutch Player of the Week, and we're going to go to the opposite, which is the Joe Schmo Player of the Week. And I'm going to have to give that thing to Baker Mayfield. I mean, the Buccaneers were so favored against the Broncos, it wasn't funny. And Baker went in there, he did throw 1 touchdown, Chris Godwin, but, I mean, it was 140 yards, and if you watched the game, you were falling asleep. It was just no offense at all. Don't know what Sean Payton and the Broncos did on the defensive side of the ball, what their scheme was or what they were doing, but Baker couldn't figure it out, and it was a pretty bad loss for them. So he deserves my Joe Schmo Player of the Week.
My Joe Schmo Player of the Week is Mark Andrews. What happened to tight ends, first of all, in the league?
Yeah, for sure.
Are they just not existent anymore? Like, do we not need tight ends? Are they just meant for blocking? No, this is the second week in 3 games that Mark Andrews just laid an egg. Not even, I mean, stat-wise. I didn't watch much of the Ravens-Cowboys game, so I don't know if he was, contributing, blocking, things like that, if he played a solid game. But stat-wise, just an absolute goose egg. He had 1 target, didn't even catch it. And it's like, dude, you were a top 5 tight end, top 2 tight end, like 2 years ago, pre-injury. I mean, coming back from a bad injury like he is, like still, but you got to help your team out, and it just seems like he's not really getting involved much. And I know they have Likely back there as well, but still, it's like Mark Andrews should be the guy. Like, he should be Lamar's number 1 target, and it just has not worked out for him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw something interesting on that. I think I saw that he only played like about 40% of the snaps.
Yeah, I saw like a 33 or 40% snap share, and it's like, what in the world?
What are we doing? Yeah.
Nursing something? What's going on?
Yeah, my player of the week is definitely going to be James Conner. I know we only gave him, I think, 9 carries, but he only ran for about like 15 yards, and I think for someone that's so involved with an offense, he just did not perform how us Cardinals fans wanted him to, and I think he's going to bounce back because of how involved he is in the offense, but he definitely just did not look like himself out there on Sunday, so I don't got much to say about it. It's just he just didn't, for someone so involved, he didn't perform to where I thought he was going to.
Yeah, for sure. Tough game. I think the Lions kind of destroy the Cardinals on the line. And, yeah, it was tough to run the ball when, there ain't no blocks in for you. So let's get into Week 4 previews. We're kind of running a little bit late on time, so we like to keep these things under an hour for everybody. We don't need to talk. You do not need to listen to us for more than an hour. So we're just going to go one by one. Like, I'll give my pick on the first game, and then Ty, you give your pick on the second game, that type of thing. So, real quick, Giants did end up losing to the Cowboys tonight. It was kind of a poop shoot of a game. Really not much going on other than 1 60-yard touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. Cowboys don't look great, in my opinion, and we'll have to see where that goes. So, the first game right here is the Bengals-Panthers. The Bengals do not look good at all. Freak after Andy Dalton's week. This week it's hard not to choose them, but I am going to give it to the Bengals. Yeah, I am going to give it to the Bengals. I think they're finally going to, start playing like the Bengals that they should. But who knows? Andy Dalton might throw all over them too because their defense does not look good. But I am going to give it to the Bengals there.
Yeah, next game is Saints and Falcons. We talked last week about how the Saints were rolling, and I think the Eagles shut that down last week. And I really do like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, and I love him at home. So I'm going to take the Falcons in that matchup, but I think it'll be close.
Got an AFC South matchup with the Jags and the Texans. The Jags have looked abysmal. It has been ugly these first 3 games. It doesn't even look like Trevor Lawrence knows how to throw football, which is unfortunate because I was really high on him. But I'm going to give it to the Texans. Hopefully they have a bounce back week and CJ Stroud gets back to himself.
Yeah, good pick. The next team here is the Jets-Broncos. The Broncos are going to New York, and for that reason I'm going to give it to the Jets. I do think the Broncos could keep it real close and maybe potentially win this game, but I think the Jets pull it out just for being at home, and I think Aaron Rodgers is starting to finally click a little bit with his offense. Him and Lazard and Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, I think it's just a little too much firepower for that defense, so I'm going to give it to the Jets by, I would say, a touchdown.
Next game is Vikings-Packers. Do we know if Jordan Love's playing?
Still up in the air.
I don't think that matters really. I mean, they're playing the Vikings. Vikings are 3-0. I'm a big Sam Darnold guy, and I mean, really, even if Jordan Love does play, it's tough to come back from an injury and win a game. Even though it is at home, I'm gonna take the Vikings because they're rolling right now.
Next game, got Steelers Colts. I mean, the Steelers defense just looks like it could stop any offense right now, and Anthony Richardson can't throw a ball. Just say it as it is. He can throw a ball 100 yards, but he can't hit his target or he can't hit the receiver in the hand. So I'm gonna run the ball with or keep it with the Steelers. I think Justin Fields has a good game and they win that one.
Next game's the Rams are going to Chicago play the Bears. This is an interesting one. I do think the Rams are going to win this one. I think the Rams are feeling really good about themselves, beating the Niners, coming back to beat the Niners. Kyron Williams looks really good, and when you got Matthew Stafford at the helm, I think good things can happen. Caleb Williams looks a little off to start his career, which is understandable. I do think he has a good career ahead of him, but right now I think I'm going to have to give the Rams the edge.
Next game, we got Eagles-Bucks. Eagles' offense is not looking great. I mean, all their offense is they haven't been great, so they've just been handed off to Saquon, and he's the reason have been winning. But I'm gonna say a bounce back game from the Bucks here. I'm gonna take them to win because they need to bounce back after that tough loss at home, which will be at home this week too. So I think they'll have a little bounce back from Baker in the offense. So.
Cool. Next game we got Patriots, 49ers in San Francisco. We're all big Brock Purdy guys. We think he's the real deal. He kind of proved that last week. The Patriots aren't good. Let's just face it. I think the 49ers blow them out.
Yeah, I think Purdy played really well, and it wasn't, it doesn't look like it because they lost, but he did play out of his mind. Even Shanahan said that. Next game is the home game. For us, the Commanders come to Glendale to play the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals win this one. I think they're going to bounce back. Just being at home again, I think that's the reason they would win this one. If it was in Washington, I think I'd probably give it to them. They're rolling. But I'm going to give it to the Cardinals. I think it's bounce back time, and Connor's going to have a big day.
Yeah, next we got the Chiefs and the Chargers, and I'm just going to say the Chiefs because they are the Chiefs, and I don't got much explanation there, but I hope Travis Kelce will step up this game because he is not involved in the offense, which they still won without him being involved, but yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs on that one.
I think this next game is probably going to be the worst game of the week. Browns-Raiders, no offense to either of those fan bases or teams, they just haven't looked all that great. It is in Vegas, so I'll give the upper hand to the Raiders, although I don't favor them very much, but I think they'll pull that one off.
Yeah, this one's a huge one, I think. If you would have asked preseason, one of the top 5 teams, both these teams are in there, I think. It's the Bills going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. I might give it to the Bills. Josh Allen looks MVP form right now. He's dishing the ball to everybody, running 4 touchdowns. Freaking Fantasy had 37 points in the first half, and if it was a close game, he could have went for 70, but they were dominating, so he basically didn't even play the second half. So I'm going to give it to the Bills. I just think Allen's too powerful right now.
Next game is Titans-Dolphins. This one's a tough one for me. I think just because they're at home, I'll take the Dolphins. Will Levis has not looked real great, and the Titans' offense hasn't been, or their defense hasn't been there. And then I know the Dolphins' offense is a little shaken up, but I think they'll barely squeak one out at home there.
I think it's really nice of the NFL to give us a doubleheader on Monday because that first game is going to be tough. We got Seahawks-Lions to finish off Week 4. It's in Detroit. That's going to be a really good game. I think the Seahawks, this will be like their first real test of the season. It is in a dome, and Jared Goff, he performs when he's indoors, and I think the Lions pull that one off. Hopefully they get Laporta involved. I think that's their key to success.
Yeah, for sure. Well, those are all the games this week. We'll have to see how we do next week. Hopefully it's better than this past week because it was horrible for us. So I do think I like our picks, and we'll see what happens this week. Let's get into TC Draft, which Court was the winner of last week. He dominated us. He had a whopping 532 points, and if you watch, points just mean yards, whether it's receiving and rushing for a receiver, or receiving and rushing, rushing or throwing for a quarterback. Court 532. Dak Prescott, I single-handedly won him the. How many yards did he throw for?
He had 370 something. So
yeah, almost beat me in trade.
Yeah,
really beat me.
I had 410 points, and Tyson had 371. So. Court squad of Dak, Josh Jacobs, and Rashee Rice got it done. My team was, who was it? It was Mahomes, Jamar Chase, and Devon Achane. And Tyson, you were Kyler.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb.
And I don't even remember who my running back was, but that's alright.
That's okay.
Who cares? As long as they didn't perform very well.
Yeah, so let's get into
Oh, it was Bijan. Now I
It was
remember.
Bijan,
Yeah.
and he had a terrible
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
So let's get into CC draft for this week. We'll go quick with this. Court, I don't know. Court, you don't get started quarterback again. Let Tyson start with the quarterback.
Alright, on prime time, he's been MVP Trey, so I'm going to take Josh Allen in that Sunday Night Football matchup.
Yeah, I'll go second here, and I'm actually going to take. Let's go Jared Goff Monday night. It'll be fun to watch, and I think the Seahawks will give him a game, so they'll be throwing the ball.
I'm going to give it to our friend CJ Stroud. I think they're going to have a big first half, and he's going to throw for a bunch of yards. I know it'll probably be a blowout, but I think he's going to have a solid game.
Court, you start with your running back here.
My running back, I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor. I know the Steelers' defense looks good, but I don't think they're going to be able to get the ball in the air, and I think he's going to get a ton of carries, so I'm going to take JT.
Ty.
I'll probably just go with Saquon Barkley. I don't think it really matters who the defense is. Right now, he's just been so dominant, so that's what I'm going to take.
Yeah, and I'm going to go right along with that. I'm going to go with Court's clutch player of the week. I'm going to go Derrick Henry. I think he looks prime form right now, and he's been a stud, so we'll have to see how he does, but I'm going to give it to him again. I'll start with receivers here, and I'm actually going to give it to the home kid. I'm going to give it to Marv. Hopefully Kyler and him can keep linking up for touchdowns and some big yards. I think it's going to be a shootout with the Commanders, and hopefully Marv can put up some yards. I think Court's second here.
I'm going to take Amon-Ra. I think he's going to have a huge game. It's going to be high scoring. He'll have a few catches for a few yards at least.
Okay, although I'm tempted to take Juwan Jennings, that's not who I'm going to take. I'm actually going to go, I think I'm going to go Rashee Rice, because of course this guy last week, and the dude gets, I don't know, I think he got like 18 targets or something ridiculous last week, and he's just been rolling, so he's the number one option, of course, right now.
Awesome. Well, that's TC Draft. We'll see how that ends up next week, and hopefully I can get a dub there. All right, let's move into trivia to end this thing off. We're over an hour. Sorry. I mean, yeah, I don't know why you listen to us for an hour, but send through if you don't want to. I'm going to start this off with trivia, and it's an interesting one today, guys. I'm going to go with how many days out of their year are there 0 sports of the 4, MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL on TV? Let's go.
How many guesses do we each get?
We're going to get 2 guesses each.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a small amount. I'm going to do like 4.
It is not 4.
I'm going to say 2 weeks, 14.
It is not 14.
Can we give like a, are we in between
Tyson
those?
is closer than Court there.
Okay. I'm just going to go like 6.
It is not 6.
Give me a week, dead on. 7 days out of the year.
It is not 7. The answer will shock you. It is 2 days a year.
2.
It is the
Did I
day
say
before
3?
the MLB
Or 4?
All-Star break. So the break right after where
Yeah.
they get the first day, like Saturday, I think it's the home run, whatever. I don't know if that counts, but maybe it's the day before the All-Star break starts and the one day after the All-Star break. Every other day has some sort of game on. It kind of shocked me.
Interesting.
Yeah, all right, Tyson, what was yours?
How many footballs does the home team have to provide for an NFL game? Okay, yeah, 2. We'll go with 2.
It's got to be at least like 50.
No, not 50.
Too many?
I helped Tyson out with this question, so I know the answer.
Oh yeah, Trey
So
does know
I'm,
the answer
I'm
because
gonna-
I just got home.
So 50 is probably too
I'm
high.
gonna give you low.
Yeah,
it's
it's
lower.
lower.
Let's go 24, 12 each side.
It is higher.
Okay.
No, it's just the home team here too.
Just the home.
Just the home team.
Yeah, just the home team.
So
That's the
higher
part
than
it is.
24.
Yeah.
35.
Really close. It's 36.
Okay.
How? Yeah, I mean that's just super interesting to me. I mean they literally use
It's a ton
probably
of
what
footballs.
5 or 6 of them.
They get a first down and they throw that
And those
thing,
are
right?
just balls that like they're not like practice. Those are balls that will be used for the game. I don't know how or why there's that many, but that's how many there are.
All right, then my question is, over his entire career, including playoffs, how many miles did Tom Brady throw for?
Okay,
I don't even know.
yeah, a mile is like 3,000 yards, right? Something around there.
I think it's a little less. I think it's like 2,500.
2,500
Could be
yards.
wrong.
Okay, and you think, I mean, 1,000 times 20, that's 8.
It might be even a little less than that. Yeah, I'm not sure. It might even be less than 2,500 yards.
I don't even know how many yards he threw for in his career. Right now, I'm just like
Yeah, I mean,
spitballing.
yeah.
I'm spitballing like 70,000. Is that close? Probably.
It's up there. A
Thinking
little bit
around
more.
there.
Some more.
Yeah.
But you divide that by miles. I'm gonna go for I don't know 13 miles.
No.
I'm gonna go like. I was thinking like 26.
No, much
Oh wait,
less.
if it's 75, only I'm off. It's probably
Pretty
40
high.
miles. 40 miles.
40, you're getting closer.
Okay.
No, give me like a 48.
That's really close. He threw for just over 50 miles over his span of his
That's wild
career.
to think about.
89,000 yards.
That is
89?
That is
Is
crazy.
that high? Jeez,
That is insane because one last little, I guess not even trivia, one last little thing about football is there's less than 5 minutes of actual action in a football game just because of the clock and how it runs. And so that is really impressive to throw for that many miles because, I mean, if you really think about it, the clock's like always running and the game, I mean, the plays are what, not even 5 seconds half the time. So that is very impressive. Well, anyways, we appreciate y'all watching the podcast. We're trying to get our TikTok going. Tyson's been all over that for us, so hopefully you guys keep tuning in on that. Trying to build our TikTok audience because that will hopefully filter over to our podcast. But we got a lot of people reaching out about trying to be on the podcast, and Tyson and I are trying to figure that out. But I think we have finally figured it out. So we're gonna start going with those too, because I think that'll obviously help drive the audience. Be more fun just to hear from people that are experiencing the professional or college sports in their life, and not just listen to us talk every week. But we're trying to get better at this thing. It's been a blast. We love doing it. That's why we do it on our nights and take time out of it. So we appreciate y'all watching. Anyways, have a great week and peace.
Peace.